Israeli voters will go to their fourth election in 2 years after the uneasy coalition uniting Prime Minister Netanyahu's right-wing Likud party with the centre-left Blue and White party collapsed. Parliament was dissolved after failing to meet a deadline to pass Israel's budget, triggering a snap election next March.
A fiscal dispute between hostile coalition partners animating the Israeli parliament. With no national budget passed by midnight, parliament was automatically dissolved. Israelis heading for the polls again.
Unfortunately, we couldn't find enough common ground to prevent another round of elections. We are going to face a difficult campaign.
The budget's passage was key to implementing April's reluctant coalition deal, under which Benny Gantz of the Blue and White Party would succeed Benjamin Netanyahu as Prime Minister next November. Now that won't happen, with Mr Netanyahu blaming his rival for the political crisis.
אנחנו נגד בחירות. זאת החלטה שגויה של כחול לבן. אבל אם כופים עלינו בחירות, אני מבטיח לכם שאנחנו ננצח.
At the heart of the crisis lies the pair's deep mutual distrust and Mr Netanyahu's impending corruption trial. He's been charged with bribery, fraud and breach of trust, but denies any wrongdoing. On Twitter, Mr Gantz wrote, "Netanyahu is taking us to an election for the sole purpose of not entering the courtroom." Analysts predict the 71-year-old will be weaker this time.
Also because Israelis really widely believe he's mishandled the pandemic. They're suffering economically as a result of that. And of course, Donald Trump will no longer be in the White House by that time.
But recent polls suggest Benny Gantz, seen as discredited by the alliance, is too politically weak to pose a challenge this time round. The man who could is Gideon Saar, who quit Likud to form his own party. The Israeli Prime Minister has enjoyed strong support from ultra-Orthodox Jews, backing that group's continued exemptions from military service. Hundreds here protesting against mandatory conscription for most Israelis. The issue has featured in recent elections. The question is whether Benjamin Netanyahu's huge survival skills can prevail once more. Raina Saron-Pyatt, SBS World News.
And senior White House advisor Jared Kushner has led a delegation from Israel to Morocco as part of a US-brokered push to normalise relations between Israel and Arab nations. Donald Trump's son-in-law arrived on the first commercial flight between Tel Aviv and Rabat to formalise the start of diplomatic ties. The deal will see Morocco welcome Israeli tourists and Israel invest in technology, business and entrepreneurship. More controversially, the US has agreed to recognise Morocco's annexation of Western Sahara, a move which has drawn criticism from the United Nations.